What is up, folks? In this video today, we're going to be talking about this particular shirt right here and what it has to do with our coach Dan Quinn. Welcome back to another video here on the Washington Football Maniacs channel. My name is Greg. I'm your host, and this channel, of course, is dedicated to news and commentary for the Washington Commanders. So if you're down with that, please make sure that you have subscribed to this channel. When you do, also hit that notification bell so you won't miss any other video releases. So just so that we can put this on the record, I wore it first. I've had this shirt for a couple of years now. This shirt right here. So yeah, I've had it for a couple of years. And it amazes me that how many people didn't know about this shirt for I don't know how long. But I actually saw this shirt on eBay a couple of years ago, and I was like, I've got to have that shirt. And so I think I actually grabbed it shortly after the rebrand. So there you go. So I've had this shirt before Dan Quinn. But it means more when Dan Quinn wears it than when Greg wears it, right? I totally get that. But this week, just the media buzz just blew up because of Dan Quinn wearing this shirt. Now, his looks a little bit more worn than mine, but he wore this shirt, the Washington Commanders shirt with the feather. Of course, it was an unofficial team apparel. And just social media just went ballistic. Some in a good way, some in not so much of a good way. And let me tell you, sales of this shirt just skyrocketed. And it's kind of funny because, people are spending like over $30 some for the shirt. I didn't spend that much on this shirt when I got it a couple of years ago. I might have spent, I don't even think I spent $20 on the shirt. So I must have got a great deal on it. But I liked what Dan Quinn, said. Now, of course, I'm sure that Harrison Company said, look, you can't be wearing that shirt. And so, of course, he was wearing an official shirt the next day in the conferences. But, he was like, when asked, he was like, I'm just, I'm paraphrasing. I'm just basically saying, just trying to give a nod to our legends and things like that. Trying to mend the bridge between the past and the present. And he's like, obviously the shirt had the attention that he probably didn't think he was going to have with it. But overall, honestly, I think it's a great shirt. And it really started to spark the debates of the rebrand, right? Because people really do not like the Commanders rebrand at all. You're going to have the SEC, and I'll be honest with you, if you include all Washington fans, and I'm talking about the ones who are not necessarily on social media, but you include everybody, there's only a small minority of folks who love the rebrand, who are like, hey, I love it. We should move on from Redskins. We should move on from whatever imagery that people want to go back to, and we should just embrace this. And they love everything about the new W and the uniforms and things like that. And I had a video about the uniforms that came out just the other day. So I just I believe that, even the coaching staff will tell you that, hey, this team had an iconic image to it, especially when they played the Cowboys, because it's basically, Cowboys and Indians, right? I mean, it was such a rivalry just with that. And people think you're really a fan because of the name. Well, let me put it to you like this. Would there have been as much of a rivalry with the Cowboys if this team was named Commanders back then? I don't think so. As a matter of fact, I don't even think that the Cowboys would have been in the NFC East, because I don't think it would have really mattered in terms of rivalries. But because that it was this thing with, Cowboys and Indians, then it made sense to keep that rivalry going. And it was a big time rivalry for a long time. And so that's one reason why I think fans really miss the old branding. Now, I think the majority of folks are okay with the idea of, okay, if it can't be Redskins, that's fine. But we're already hearing about the team possibly meeting, or have already met with some local tribes. And I think that you really do have Native American groups. As a matter of fact, I've seen it on social media. But I think you've had some Native American groups that really were probably more offended at the idea of no Native American imagery at all, and taken away what really glorified them, because while others said that the name and all this stuff was derogatory, and you can debate that, majority of Native Americans embraced it, or either didn't care. But there was a lot of Native Americans who were more offended when they retired the imagery, because out of any team that had Native American imagery, as far as their theme, Washington really did it I think the most honorable. Their logo was not a caricature of a Native American. It was really more of a portrait of a Native American chief. And of course, it was created by a Native American artist. But I think there was more offense when that was retired than it was with the name. I think we can get around the name. We can have, just name them skins if you have to. But you could find partnerships with tribes and things like that who would be willing to say, hey, how about this name? Does this work? Just bring back the imagery. Majority of here's the thing. The people who are trying to push the idea of it's really not that important, why, did you really start liking this team because of their name? But I think some of the people who ask this question are asking this question to people who grew up in the DMV area. And so the question is regardless of what the name was, this is your hometown team. Wouldn't you have been a fan of this team just because they're the hometown local guys to root for? Well, what about the rest of us who didn't grow up in that area but became fans for other reasons? And I actually became a fan because of Joe Gibbs, John Riggins, guys like this, so the players, but also was fascinated by the imagery that the team had. You know, I was always fascinated by that Indian chief on the side, or that's probably offensive, Native American chief on the side of the helmet. I love the colors of the team. Absolutely, just, you know, these are things that were ingrained in me ever since I started becoming a fan of the team. So I just, in my personal opinion, I feel that this team, you know, there is a thing about fans becoming fans because of the imagery and the name that that comes along with that. Now, you can argue like, okay, what about the Green Bay Packers? Like, do you really think Packers is a great name? It's become so iconic, and it's an ode back to the specific area that makes sense for them. But I mean, you know, if you really want to start arguing, you know, over names like that, I mean, does it make sense to have a Buccaneer or a Viking? You know, because these guys were not very nice guys. So, I mean, just the simple fact that fans do become fans because of the imagery, and they also become fans because the team is their hometown team. They're on TV every single week, and they become fans. A lot of times they become fans because of how successful the team plays. Not always, but you know, a lot of times that's the case. And so I would argue that a lot of times it is very important that the imagery, that the branding of the team is right, because if it's not attractive enough, you know, to really attract people, to really be like, you know, I'm a Bear, you know, Bears fan, you know, Vikings, and, you know, Cowboys. Because, of course, like Cowboys, for instance, in Texas, you know, it's an imagery of cowboy hats and cowboy boots and belts and shirts, and, you know, it's like this rugged thing. So it's a sense of pride. If Cowboys, you know, if Dallas changed their name to the Dallas Devils, would they get the same respect? Would they get the same fandom? I don't think so. It's iconic that they're named the Cowboys. And I think it was the same thing with the Redskins. I think it was such an iconic thing. And I think because of that, I do think, I think the shirt thing really spawned that debate. So much so, we're going to cover in another video about the senator who's trying to block the idea of anything being built at the RFK site until the team changes its name back to Redskins, or you know, rebrands away from the Commanders. But I think because this shirt really showed folks that it's not just fans who, of course, miss that imagery. You know, it's not necessarily the name, it's the imagery. We miss the feathers. We miss that chief. We just miss those old uniforms. And there's a sense of, if we could see this team succeed, but I think deep down inside, we still feel like this team just feels like an expansion club with this rebrand. And this rebrand was not done correctly. So I would say that when you go and you look at this shirt and you look at like how important this was that Dan Quinn wore the shirt like that, you know, trying to embrace the present and the future, but not forgetting the past. I think that's what the rebrand was supposed to have done. I don't think it was successful with that. Folks, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, give it a share. With that said, we will see you in the next one. Take care.